What if the only way to survive was to wear a crown you never wanted, in a kingdom that would rather see you dead? In Lauren Roberts' Fearless, power is a weapon, love is a battlefield, and every choice could ignite a rebellion. Today, we're diving into the full story, chapter by chapter, to uncover how a silver-haired girl from the slums rose to defy kings, betrayals, and destiny itself. The story begins in shadows. Two cloaked figures meet in secret. One is impatient, his mind battling between walking away and sealing a dark fate. The other speaks with a voice like gold, convincing him with words and silver coins. Their plan, a deception, something that must look real, something born of love twisted into brutality. The chilling line lingers. Every brutal act is born of love. And with that, alliances are forged in secrecy, hinting at the betrayals that will drive this story forward. The scene shifts to Peyton, blood dripping onto marble as she stands accused in the throne room. Once an ordinary, powerless, hunted, and despised, she now faces a new, terrifying fate. Kit, the new king, shocks everyone. Instead of execution, he declares Peyton his bride. His reasoning? A union to bring peace, to welcome ordinaries back into Ilia, and to secure trade with other kingdoms. But for Peyton, this feels like a cage wrapped in gold. Death she had prepared for, marriage to the man whose father she killed, is something far worse. From Kai's perspective, torment sharpens. He watches helplessly as the woman he loves, Peyton, slips a ring onto her finger, not his but his brother Kit's. Bound by loyalty, Kai can't act on his feelings, even as he burns with rage and heartbreak. To the court, he is the enforcer. To Peyton, he is the forbidden love who saved her life. But in this moment, he realizes the truth. She will never truly be his, not while she wears his brother's ring. Still, his protective instincts flare, and when Peyton is insulted, he stands ready to destroy anyone who disrespects her. Peyton finds herself in the Queen's quarters, a room too grand for someone who grew up in the slums. Haunted by Adina's death and her father's lies, she struggles with her new role. Ellie, her maid, offers kindness and loyalty, a rare comfort in the hostile castle. Yet Peyton knows the court sees her only as a weakness, a traitor elevated beyond her worth. Despite the grandeur, she feels trapped, watched, and judged. The weight of being queen already threatens to crush her. Fueled by grief and rage, Peyton confronts the truth about Adina's death. Blair, the one who drove a branch through her best friend's chest, is imprisoned nearby. Peyton demands vengeance, but Kit cleverly stations Lenny, her loyal friend, as Blair's guard, knowing Peyton will never harm him to reach her. Lenny comforts her, reminding her of her strength and resilience. His presence is a lifeline, a reminder of the resistance, and proof that not everyone in Ilia despises her. Kai confronts Kit in his study, demanding answers. Why marry Peyton? Why not execute her, as everyone expected? Kit admits he nearly chose death for her, but realized marriage could unite the kingdom instead. For Kit, it's strategy. For Kai, it's torment. Old wounds resurface, their father's shadow looming between them. But as the brothers argue, it becomes clear. Kit is no longer the grieving son Kai left behind. He has hardened into a king, one who will sacrifice love for power. Peyton continues to navigate her uneasy role as future queen. She reflects on her father's journal, discovering deeper truths about his resistance work and her own identity. Haunted by his death and Adina's loss, she realizes she has become a symbol, not just for Ilia's survival, but for every ordinary who ever dreamed of freedom. Yet with every step forward, she feels the court's hatred pressing against her, reminding her that power here is fragile and survival is never guaranteed. Kai, torn between loyalty to his brother and love for Peyton, struggles with his role as enforcer. Every instinct in him wants to protect her, but every duty demands he serve the king. His guilt grows heavier. After all, he was the one who first hunted her down, delivering her into this fate. Yet in private moments, his longing is undeniable. To him, Peyton is not the king's bride or the silver savior. She is the girl who undid him, the only one he ever truly loved. As Peyton learns more about the castle and its secrets, she begins to glimpse the cracks in Ilia's foundation. Resources are dwindling, the people are restless, and Kit's grip on power is not as steady as it appears. Allies like Callum resurface, offering insight and counsel, but trust is fragile. Peyton realizes her role as queen is more than symbolic. She is at the center of a political gamble that could either heal Ilia or destroy it. Haunted by memories of Adina, Peyton feels the crushing loneliness of her new life. The court despises her, her enemies watch for any weakness, and even her love for Kai is forbidden. Yet in her darkest moments, she steels herself with resolve. If she must wear the crown, she will use it not just to survive, but to fight for every ordinary who was ever cast aside. Her pain transforms into purpose, a dangerous spark that could ignite rebellion or redemption. Kai watches from the shadows, seeing the weight Peyton carries. His love for her grows heavier with each passing day, but so does his fear. To protect her, he must continue playing the role of enforcer, a mask that distances them even as it allows him to guard her. Inside, though, he vows that no matter what role his brother forces him into, he will not let Peyton fall. Even if it destroys him, Kai will be her shield. Peyton is thrust deeper into the politics of the throne. While the court gossips and plots around her, she must maintain composure. Each step she takes in the castle feels like walking on shattered glass. One misstep could ruin her, or worse, reignite hatred for ordinaries. In these moments, she learns that being queen isn't about wearing a crown, but surviving constant scrutiny. Kai continues his silent struggle. He watches his brother grow more kingly, more decisive, and more manipulative with each passing day. At the same time, he sees Peyton hardening under pressure, adapting to survive. Torn between his duties as enforcer and his love for her, Kai feels trapped, his loyalty tested as both protector and prisoner of circumstance. The resistance remains a constant weight on Peyton's mind. Callum's influence grows stronger as he counsels the king, but Peyton wonders how much of his advice is genuine and how much is manipulation. Her father's journal gives her fragments of truth, but no peace. The more she learns about her heritage, the more she questions whether she can trust anyone, not even herself. In a rare moment of vulnerability, Peyton reflects on Adina, her fallen friend. Memories of their time in the slums crash against the reality of her gilded cage. Grief transforms into a vow. She will not let Adina's death be meaningless. That determination fuels her resolve, even as whispers in the court grow louder about the king's controversial decision to make her his bride. Kai and Kit's relationship fractures further. Where once there was brotherhood, there is now mistrust. Kit leans on strategy and appearances, while Kai clings to a moral compass torn apart by love and loyalty. To the outside world, they stand united as king and enforcer. Behind closed doors, they are rivals, divided not just by power but by Peyton herself. Peyton begins to sense danger lurking beyond the castle walls. Ilia's neighbors are not blind to its instability, and enemies see opportunity in its fractures. Her role as queen becomes more than symbolic. She is a bargaining chip, a weapon of peace or war depending on how she plays it. And yet, the court still views her as a pawn, underestimating her strength. The burden of her crown grows heavier. Peyton feels isolated, unable to trust most of the court, but finds fleeting solace in brief interactions with Ellie and Lenny. These small threads of loyalty keep her grounded. But in her heart, the storm rages on. How can she fight for ordinaries when every step she takes seems dictated by the will of others? Kai's inner turmoil explodes into action when Peyton's safety is threatened. His instincts as enforcer drive him to intervene, but every act of protection risks exposing his true feelings. For him, every day is a battlefield between love and loyalty. He knows if Kit discovers the truth, the consequences could be deadly for all three of them. The resistance resurfaces more strongly, pressing at the edges of Ilia's fragile unity. Peyton becomes a symbol to them, whether she wants it or not. Some see her as hope. Others see her as a traitor for aligning with the king. Torn between both worlds, she realizes she can't please everyone. Her choice will shape the fate of her people, and her hesitation could cost lives. By now, Peyton begins to transform. She is no longer just the girl from the slums or the silver savior who defied the trials. She is a queen in the making, not because the court accepts her, but because she accepts herself. Strengthened by loss and sharpened by survival, she decides she will no longer be a pawn in someone else's game. If she must play, she'll play to win. Peyton begins to see the kingdom from a different perspective. No longer confined to the castle, she witnesses firsthand the unrest simmering among the people. The slums are overflowing, food is scarce, and resentment against the elites grows sharper by the day. For Peyton, it's a painful reminder of where she came from, and proof that the kingdom is closer to collapse than the court is willing to admit. Kai shadows Peyton on these excursions, torn between admiration and fear. He sees the fire in her, the determination to fight for her people, but he also sees how exposed she is. Every time she speaks with confidence, she wins hearts and risks turning enemies into threats. For Kai, protecting her has never felt more impossible. Back at the castle, Peyton faces the venom of the court. Nobles whisper behind her back, mocking the idea of an ordinary queen. Yet instead of crumbling, she begins to fight back with sharp words and quiet defiance. In their attempts to humiliate her, they inadvertently forge her into something stronger. She is no longer just surviving the court, she is beginning to command it. Peyton finds herself in the king's presence more often. Kit, ever calculating, continues to present their marriage as a strategy for peace. But Peyton senses something deeper, his own conflict between duty and humanity. He is both her jailer and her shield, and their interactions blur the line between enemy and ally. It's a dangerous balance, one that could collapse at any moment. Kai wrestles with jealousy as he watches the bond between Kit and Peyton evolve. Every shared glance between them feels like a dagger. Yet he cannot deny that Kit's plan is working. The court is beginning to adjust to the idea of Peyton as queen, however reluctantly. For Kai, this is torture, seeing the woman he loves grow closer to the brother he can't defy. Peyton discovers hidden letters and documents that reveal the extent of Ilya's decline. Resources are dwindling faster than even Kit admitted. Worse, the surrounding kingdoms have little incentive to help. This knowledge terrifies her, but also fuels her resolve. If she is to wear the crown, she will use it to save her people, no matter the cost. The tension in the castle rises when rumors of assassination attempts begin to spread. Peyton realizes she is not only a target for scorn, but for death. Still, she refuses to cower. Her defiance only deepens the admiration of those few who support her, and for the first time, she begins to sense the possibility of building true allies within the court. Kai is pushed to his breaking point. Protecting Peyton demands he disobey orders and risk exposing his feelings. His brother notices his growing unease, and suspicion sharpens between them. For Kai, every move feels like a betrayal of one brother or the other. His world is collapsing inward, and all he can cling to is the promise he made to himself, to keep Peyton alive. Peyton's role as queen-in-waiting takes a sharp turn when she begins to speak openly about reuniting elites and ordinaries. Her words are dangerous, but they spark something in the people. To some, she is a savior. To others, a threat to everything they've built. The risk grows with every sentence she utters, but for Peyton, silence is no longer an option. By this chapter, Peyton has begun to accept her transformation. She is not just surviving an Ilya, she is shaping it. Through grief, betrayal, and constant danger, she has forged herself into a leader. The stakes are higher than ever, but she no longer feels powerless. Whether the court likes it or not, she is a queen in spirit, ready to claim her place in history. The fractures in Ilya begin to widen. Peyton senses rebellion brewing outside the castle walls, while inside, the court grows bolder in their defiance. Whispers of betrayal surround her, but rather than shrinking from the challenge, she steels herself. Her greatest weapon is not power, but resilience, and she knows it is the one thing her enemies cannot strip away. Kai's role as protector grows, increasingly difficult. Every order from Kit pushes him further into conflict with his heart. When assassins strike within the castle, Kai moves quickly to shield Peyton. Though he succeeds, the incident confirms his greatest fear. Enemies lurk everywhere, and she may not survive the crown that now rests so heavily on her head. Peyton confronts the reality of her marriage more deeply. Though Kit continues to justify their union as a political strategy, Peyton begins to see his vulnerabilities. For the first time, she realizes he is not immune to fear or doubt. Their uneasy alliance grows more complicated as she must decide whether to resist him entirely or use their bond to protect her people. Ellie and Lenny offer moments of relief amidst the growing storm. Their loyalty is a reminder that Peyton is not entirely alone, even within hostile walls. but their presence also paints targets on their backs. Peyton begins to understand that her fight for Ilia is not just hers. It risks the lives of everyone who dares to stand beside her. Kai confronts Kit directly about his rule. Their arguments are no longer just about Peyton, but about the kingdom itself. Kit demands obedience, while Kai demands truth. The confrontation ends without resolution, but Kai walks away with a grim understanding. His brother is willing to sacrifice anything, even family, for the throne. The resistance grows restless, pressing Peyton to act. They see her as a bridge between the powerless and the powerful, a living symbol of hope. Yet Peyton is torn. Aligning too closely risks destroying the fragile peace Kit is building, but abandoning them would mean betraying the very people she claims to fight for. Haunted by visions of Adina and the blood already spilled, Peyton steels herself for what lies ahead. Her grief sharpens into determination. She will not be a passive queen. If she must rule beside Kit, she will do so on her terms, as a voice for the voiceless. The weight of that vow is crushing, but it gives her purpose. Kai is forced into a mission that tests his loyalty. Acting as enforcer, he must carry out an order he despises. Though he follows through, his conscience gnaws at him. The duality of his role, brother to the king, lover to the queen's heart, threatens to tear him apart. For Kai, survival is no longer enough. He must choose who he truly serves. Danger escalates when another attempt is made on Peyton's life. This time, the attack comes not from outside the castle but from within its very walls. Betrayal cuts deeper than any blade, and Peyton realizes how precarious her position truly is. Every ally could be an enemy. Every gesture of kindness could mask a dagger. By this chapter, Peyton embraces her role fully. She is no longer simply enduring her fate, she is shaping it. Though danger surrounds her and love complicates her every step, she declares her own agency. If the court calls her weak, she will prove them wrong. If Kit calls her queen, she will redefine what that crown means. For the first time, Peyton feels not like a prisoner, but like a ruler in the making. The fractures within the court finally begin to split open. As Peyton faces another council meeting, opposition to her position grows louder. Nobles demand her removal, calling her unworthy of the crown. But instead of crumbling, Peyton answers with calm defiance, refusing to bow her head. Every word she speaks chips away at their prejudice, showing that she is no pawn. Kai struggles with the impossible balance between protecting Peyton and obeying Kit. His instincts drive him to shield her at all costs, but Kit's orders grow more ruthless. When the brothers clash again, Kai realizes the truth. His loyalty is no longer to the throne, but to Peyton herself. The weight of that decision threatens everything. Peyton begins to see the first signs of support within the people of Ilia. Whispers spread of her defiance, her strength, her unwillingness to bend. To the oppressed, she is hope. To the court, she is danger. The duality terrifies her, but also steels her resolve. For the first time, she feels the beginnings of true power. The resistance presses closer. Peyton is caught between loyalty to them and the fragile peace Kit is forging. Messages slip into the castle, each one urging her to act, to rise against the throne she now sits beside. Torn, she wonders if she is betraying her people by standing still, or if she must play the long game to truly win. A mission from Kit pushes Kai too far. Forced to act against his conscience, he begins to see his brother in a darker light. The king he once defended now looks increasingly like the tyrant they buried. And in Peyton's eyes, Kai sees the truth. She is the only one brave enough to stand against that tyranny, and he cannot abandon her. Peyton faces another assassination attempt, this one more coordinated than before. She narrowly survives, thanks to her instincts and Kai's intervention. But the attack proves something chilling. Her enemies are not just in the shadows, they are among the powerful, woven into the court itself. Trust becomes nearly impossible. The weight of Adina's death continues to shape Peyton's choices. In a quiet moment, she vows again to honor her friend's sacrifice. She clings to those memories, not as chains, but as armor. The grief that once weakened her now becomes her strength, proof that she can survive anything and fight for everything Adina believed in. Kai begins to test the boundaries of his loyalty. In secret, he aids Peyton, giving her protection Kit would not approve of. Every choice he makes pushes him closer to open rebellion against his brother. His love for Peyton is no longer something he can bury. It has become his compass, and it points him firmly away from the throne. Peyton steps more boldly into her role. She confronts the nobles directly, making declarations that shock the court. No longer willing to be dismissed as weak, she claims her place beside Kit not as a pawn but as an equal. The statement is dangerous, but it sets a precedent. Peyton Grey is not to be underestimated. The tension reaches a boiling point. Peyton realizes the kingdom is at a crossroads, rebellion outside the castle, betrayal within, and a king whose vision may not align with her own. But for the first time, she feels prepared. No longer the frightened girl from the slums, she is a queen in her own right, ready to fight for Ilya's future, even if it costs her everything. The castle becomes a cauldron of suspicion. After yet another betrayal comes to light, Peyton realizes that danger doesn't just lurk at the edges of Ilya, it lives inside the throne room. Her survival now depends on her ability to read lies, to see through masks, and to play a game of deception more dangerous than any battlefield. Kai begins to openly defy Kit in subtle ways. He diverts guards, manipulates orders, and bends his role as enforcer to protect Peyton. But with each act of defiance, the risk grows greater. If Kit uncovers the truth of his brother's betrayal, the consequences will be fatal, not only for Kai, but for Peyton as well. Peyton receives new information from the resistance. They reveal growing unrest among the people, warning her that rebellion is near. Torn between supporting the uprising and protecting fragile peace, she feels cornered. If she aligns with the resistance too soon, she risks civil war. If she waits too long, she may lose the kingdom entirely. Ellie becomes a source of comfort and truth for Peyton, but also a reminder of vulnerability. In a rare moment of honesty, Peyton admits her fears, that she cannot save everyone, that her crown is as much a prison as a weapon. Ellie reminds her that even queens are allowed doubt. What matters is the strength to act despite it. Kai is sent on another mission by Kit, one that forces him to enact violence against those he once swore to protect. His inner conflict boils over. Though he obeys outwardly, inside he knows he has crossed a line. The man who once served the throne without question now sees his brother's rule as a growing threat to everything he loves. The court stages another attack on Peyton's legitimacy, this time in public. They humiliate her during a gathering, mocking her as an ordinary unworthy of the crown. But Peyton does not break. Instead, she stands taller, answering with grace and unshakable will. Her enemies may laugh, but the people see her strength, and their whispers of support grow louder. Peyton uncovers a secret about Ilya's dwindling resources, corruption. Supplies meant for the people are being siphoned off by nobles, enriching themselves while the kingdom starves. This discovery fuels her fury. She vows to expose the truth, even if it means tearing down the court from the inside. Kai's bond with Peyton intensifies. In stolen moments, they find solace in each other, their love undeniable despite the crown that separates them. But every look, every touch is a risk. For Kai, the choice grows clearer with each heartbeat. He cannot remain both enforcer and lover. One role must die for the other to live. Peyton confronts Kit directly, challenging his choices as king. Their arguments ignite like fire, her passion against his pragmatism. Though they clash, Peyton realizes that Kit, too, is bound by impossible burdens. He may not be the tyrant she fears, but neither is he the savior the kingdom needs. This realization deepens her determination to carve her own path. By this chapter, the storm is undeniable. The resistance grows louder, the court grows bolder, and Peyton herself stands transformed. No longer the frightened girl thrust into the trials, she is a queen forged in fire. Her resolve is clear, she will not be silenced, and she will not be controlled. The crown may weigh heavy, but she will wear it her way. The first sparks of open rebellion ignite. News of uprisings in the city reaches the castle, and the people's cries for change grow impossible to ignore. Peyton feels the pull of the resistance stronger than ever. Though Kit still clings to diplomacy and control, Peyton knows the kingdom is sliding toward war, and she cannot stand idle. Kai faces his most dangerous mission yet, quelling unrest in the streets. For the first time, he sees ordinary citizens, hungry, desperate, and fearless in their anger, rising against the elites. His heart splits in two. As enforcer, he is expected to crush them. As the man who loves Peyton, he knows their fight is justified. Peyton confronts the resistance directly. Smuggled messages and secret meetings make her realize their desperation. They are ready to act, and they want her to lead. The weight of expectation terrifies her, but she also feels the spark of destiny. To the resistance, she is not just queen, she is hope incarnate. Inside the castle, the tension sharpens. Nobles accuse Peyton of stirring rebellion, some even calling for her removal by force. She defies them, refusing to show fear, but she knows their patience is running out. Her every word is a risk, her every gesture scrutinized. Still, she refuses to bow. Kai begins to act in quiet rebellion. He diverts troops away from resistance strongholds, subtly undermines Kit's harshest orders, and protects Peyton in ways that endanger himself. Each act of defiance pulls him further from his brother's side and closer to a fate that could brand him a traitor. Peyton uncovers damning evidence of betrayal inside the castle, high-ranking nobles secretly aiding those who seek to overthrow her. The realization cuts deep. Not only are her enemies bold, but they are embedded at the very heart of Ilya's power. She begins to see the scale of the fight she faces, and how few she can truly trust. The resistance pushes Peyton to make a choice, declare herself openly, or risk being left behind as the rebellion surges ahead without her. She feels torn between two impossible paths: remain beside Kit, fighting within the system, or step fully into the resistance, risking everything for freedom. Kai reaches a breaking point. Sent to put down another protest, he cannot follow through. He refuses to slaughter innocents, even under his brother's orders. This act of defiance marks a turning point. Kai is no longer just torn between loyalties. He has chosen his side, and it is with Peyton and the people, not the throne. The castle becomes a prison. Surveillance tightens around Peyton as suspicion of her loyalty grows. Yet, in her isolation, her resolve hardens. She knows rebellion is no longer a question of if, it is a matter of when. Her vow becomes clear: she will not let fear dictate her choices any longer. By now, the rebellion is no longer whispers, it is roaring at the gates. Peyton embraces her destiny, declaring silently to herself that she will lead, no matter the cost. The girl who once fought only to survive is gone. In her place stands a queen ready to fight for the soul of Ilya. The rebellion finally erupts in full force. The castle is under siege, and Peyton finds herself in the heart of chaos. Flames lick the sky, the shouts of rebels clash with the steel of soldiers, and every heartbeat feels like a countdown to death. Peyton steels herself. She will not run. If this is the moment to fight for Ilya, then she will face it head-on. Kai stands openly against Kit for the first time. Torn between duty to his brother and his love for Peyton, he finally makes his choice. His sword is not raised for the crown but for the people. His rebellion marks him as a traitor in the eyes of the court, but in the eyes of Peyton, he becomes the protector she always believed him to be. Peyton confronts betrayal within the castle walls. Those who once claimed loyalty reveal their true colors, siding with her enemies in the rebellion. The sting of betrayal cuts deep, but it also sharpens her resolve. She realizes that power has always been an illusion, and the only true strength lies in conviction. With Adina's memory burning in her heart, she refuses to falter. The fighting intensifies. Peyton takes command, guiding allies and rallying the resistance inside the castle itself. Every choice is dangerous, every step closer to death, but her courage inspires others to stand with her. The girl who once doubted her worth now becomes the rallying point for an entire kingdom. In the heat of battle, Kai faces Kit directly. The brothers clash not only with blades but with words, Kai demanding freedom, Kit clinging to control. Their fight is brutal, fueled by years of buried resentment. Though the outcome is not without cost, Kai proves that his loyalty has shifted forever, not to blood, not to throne, but to love and justice. The dust settles, but the scars remain. The rebellion has changed everything: the throne, the court, and the people of Ilya. Peyton, bloody but unbroken, stands as both survivor and symbol. She knows the battles ahead will not be easier, but she also knows she is no longer alone. With Kai at her side, and the people behind her, she steps into a future she has forged with her own strength. The final words come not from Peyton, but from Kit. From his perspective, the rebellion has left Ilya scarred, and his own legacy forever marked. He reflects on what has been lost, control, unity, and the bond with his brother, and on what remains, his determination to rule no matter the cost. For Kit, the rebellion is not an ending, but a wound that refuses to close. His voice lingers like a shadow over Ilya's fragile peace, a reminder that his story is far from over. And so, Fearless by Lauren Roberts concludes not with quiet peace, but with the fiery birth of something new. Through betrayal, love, and sacrifice, Peyton transforms from a hunted ordinary into a queen who redefines power. Kai's loyalty is tested and reshaped, and Kit's reign is marked forever by the choices he made in pursuit of control. Together, these final chapters show us that true strength is not found in crowns or bloodlines, but in the courage to fight for what is right, no matter the cost. Fearless ends as it began, with shadows, fire, and love twisted into sacrifice. But this time, Peyton is not a pawn in someone else's game. She is the queen who dares to write her own story, fearless to the very end.